The entire bank fell silent as Brittany Hayes, a young teller with striking blonde hair, tore apart a check for $3,847 right in front of Madison Reed, the shredded pieces scattering across the marble counter like wounded birds, and every eye in the room fixed on the 45-year-old veteran, her sun-darkened, scarred hands from years of military service still steady on the counter. Tension spread like a thick fog. Mrs. Anduong exhaled sharply, hands trembling over her phone, eyes wide with concern. A security guard shifted, keeping distance, while other customers leaned forward, following every movement. Brittany crossed her arms, fluorescent light catching her voluminous hair, her face gleaming with self-satisfaction, a faint smirk of contempt lingering on her lips. Madison inhaled slowly, silent her voice, blending calm and the endurance forged through years of facing danger. "I would like to speak with your manager," she said, low and resolute, steel threading through her tone, tightening the atmosphere like a drawn bow. Devon Parker, 38, the assistant manager, emerged from the back office, his stride commanding, tie, loosened sleeves, rolled-up eyes scanning the torn check before settling on Madison, his expression stiffening. "The bank has protocols for suspicious documents," Devon said, his voice a mixture of disdain and contrived professionalism, the type middle managers cultivate over years. Madison placed her hands flat on the counter, her voice steady. "I need the company phone and tape to restore this check." Devon scoffed. "The company won't concern itself with something so trivial." The words hung like a mist, and behind Madison, Mrs. Anduong quietly opened Facebook Live fingers poised to broadcast. "You need to see this act of racial bias right now," she whispered. Brittany tapped her nails against the counter, a harsh, rhythmic sound like a metronome for Madison's humiliation, her Employee of the Month March badge flashing under the lights. Devon stepped forward, blocking Madison, attempting to justify that the bank could not accept every piece of paper that passed through its doors. Madison remained, patient eyes, focused tone, calm, yet sharp. "This is a legitimate government check. I have served overseas 3 times. Brittany's skepticism surfaced voice, challenging every fiber of Madison. "Do you have your ID?" Madison placed her military ID on the counter, the glossy plastic reflecting the light purple heart, bronze star, combat infantry badge, each medal gleaming like a shield. A line of customers stared. A businessman in a tailored suit checked his Rolex. A young mother cradled her child eyes, following every detail. Mrs. Anduong now had 312 viewers leave comments, flooding in, called the press. Racism. Madison glanced at her phone. A brief message from the board council meeting moved to 4 p.m. "Call immediately." She swiped across her Omega C master fingers, gliding over the screen, voice still calm. "I understand you are following protocol, but I need this situation resolved." Devon raised his voice, drawing more attention. Brittany stepped forward, voice dripping with scorn. "We see this all the time. People use fake checks and IDs. You think we're stupid?" Madison responded gently. "Please do not make assumptions about me." Brittany gestured at Madison's ordinary clothing, jeans and T-shirt, voice, mocking, "You walk in like that, with a suspicious check, and expect us to hand over money." The bank seemed frozen. Customers raised phones from multiple angles, capturing every gesture, glance, and subtle expression. Madison faintly smiled, calculating the time, 43 minutes remaining. Angela Torres, branch manager, stepped forward, heels clicking decisively on the marble floor, demeanor like an approaching storm. "What is happening here?" Devon awkwardly explained the suspicion of fraud, while Madison remained calm, observing everything, eyes unwavering. She took a sheet from her leather briefcase, placed it down on the counter, weighty as a challenge. The ticking clock, 34 minutes remaining, no police yet. All eyes fixed. Brittany shouted, "What is this?" Madison replied composedly, "Figure it out yourself." Torres's hands shook as she turned the paper over gold seal bank logo, sharp embossed letters. The full truth stunned everyone. Madison Reed, Chief Risk Officer Board Member. All surrounding employees went silent, customers in awe. Security confiscated Brittany's badge. She and Devon were immediately terminated. Torres demoted and required to undergo bias training. Hundreds of cameras, live phones, captured the moment, creating a viral social media effect. Hashtag Liberty National Bank. Spreading widely, thousands of comments, expressing outrage, applauding Madison's calm authority. The dignity protocol was applied, bank-wide, all transactions monitored, analyzed by AI complaints, escalated directly to the board. Customers witnessed that intelligence, preparation, and integrity could overturn any prejudice, transforming an afternoon of public humiliation into a lesson on justice, inspiring all who had ever been judged by appearance, attire, or skin color. Madison Reed stood in the center of the bank, her gaze unwavering, observing every gesture, every breath, every expression of the staff around her. Brittany Hayes and Devon Parker, trembling before her calm yet overwhelming presence, customers quietly pulling out their phones to record the line of people behind them, just enough to catch every movement, as if witnessing a historic event. Madison did not rush. She inhaled deeply, reminding herself that power does not need to shout. True astonishment comes from preparation and intellect. She reached out gently, reclaimed the torn check, carefully placed it back on the counter, and pressed her gaze sharply toward Brittany, who subtly stepped back while Devon looked around, realizing the customer's collective attention now pressed upon them. Madison slowly pulled out her phone, sent a message to Patricia Wong, the regional director, knowing every action would be monitored, emphasizing every detail of the racial bias she had just endured. Patricia responded immediately, her voice projecting across the bank like an unexpected verdict. Madison looked at the frozen staff, feeling justice spread with every moment. Live comments from Mrs. Ann Duong, and hundreds of viewers, rising denunciations and cries of outrage rippling through social media, creating an inescapable pressure. Madison silently observed each step, each pulse, reminding herself that this was not just a story about a check, but about dignity, fairness, and silent authority. She opened her tablet, displaying data from the entire branch network, statistics of previous complaints, reports on discriminatory behavior, all neatly organized. Madison looked at Devon, her gaze icy but not angry, a clear assertion that every action would be recorded and accountable. Brittany lowered her head, realizing every detail in the files Madison had just presented, sweat beading on her forehead, surrounding customers holding their breath, understanding they were witnessing the reckoning for injustice. Madison stood tall, hands still on the counter, her tone calm but sharp, speaking to Patricia through the speaker. Activate the dignity protocol, immediately terminate those in violation, enforce regular training, and monitor all branches, each word resonating, pressure filling the space, and in an instant, the information reached every device. Brittany Hayes, Devon Parker terminated. Torres demoted all staff, under strict surveillance. Customers live streaming, hashtag Liberty National Bank, spreading citywide, nationwide. Madison looked around, sensing admiration, fear, outrage, change beginning. She carefully placed the check back taped as a symbol of the scars. but also of victory. Live comments echoed, "Silent power, justice has arrived. Madison is legendary," the crowd seemingly breathing in rhythm with her. Madison faintly smiled, not from pleasure, but from the sense of justice spreading, knowing that not only the bank employees, but customers and social media were internalizing the lesson of respect, that true power comes from intellect and preparation. Each click, each comment, each camera captured the panorama of justice being executed. Madison calmly observed Torres near the counter, his face still pale, emphasizing that this was not just personal punishment, but a systemic message. Any discriminatory behavior would be detected and addressed. Every customer deserved respect. No one had the right to judge another based on appearance, attire, or skin color. Madison pulled out her tablet, presenting a comprehensive plan. Regular training, anonymous monitoring applications, AI detecting biased language, direct reporting to the board. The bank would become a model of fairness, every complaint tracked, every misconduct penalized. Customers and staff witnessed everything, eyes fixed, phones lighting up, every second, live comments flowing. Madison exhaled softly, feeling the power spreading, recognizing that patience, preparation, and silent authority had overcome injustice. She quietly observed Brittany Hayes bowing her head, Devon Parker trembling, Torres lowering his tone, all realizing they had faced a force that could not be ignored. Madison gently gathered the check, placed it on the counter tape, intact as proof, and in that instant respect was restored, justice executed. Everyone in the branch understood they had witnessed a vivid lesson in power, dignity, and systemic change. Madison stepped back, eyes following each customer, each live comment, recognizing that this story would spread beyond any bank wall. And in her mind, the heartbeat of justice resonated strong, undeniable, inspiring all who had ever been judged by appearance, dismissed, or waiting to prove that preparation, intellect, and integrity are always the strongest weapons. Madison Reed stood at the bank counter, her hands lightly resting on the restored check, eyes fixed on Brittany Hayes and Devon Parker, who now trembled, sweat beading on their foreheads, staring at her as if realizing that every act of arrogance, every word of disdain they had thought harmless, would now have consequences. Madison pulled out her phone and sent a message to Patricia Wong, the regional director, each word deliberate and full of authority. Initiate the dignity protocol. Immediately address all discriminatory behavior. Terminate violating staff. Implement mandatory training. Her voice echoed through the bank's speaker system, emphasizing every step, every action. In that moment, Brittany and Devon did not know where to look. Customers quietly raised their phones, recording and live streaming comments, flooding in, condemnation, outrage, astonishment, creating an inescapable pressure. Madison observed every eye, every fearful glance of the staff, every click, every social media comment, every admiring look from customers. She needed no shouting, no raised voice, only calm mixed with authority, each movement marking the imprint of justice. The check on the counter became a symbol of scars, but also a testament to victory through intellect and preparation. Madison opened her tablet, displaying statistics from all branches, previous complaints records of discriminatory behavior, numbers clear and sharp as blades. Devon and Brittany fell silent, exposed under the light of justice, hearts racing. Madison, calm and deliberate, spoke through the speaker. All violations will be recorded and addressed immediately, no exceptions. The hashtag Liberty National Bank exploded across social media, thousands of comments ranging from outrage to support and admiration. Madison looked at Torres, the branch manager, her face pale, understanding that change was spreading. She placed the check back on the counter tape, intact, a vivid testament to meticulous preparation and superior intellect. Customers and staff witnessed everything, eyes fixed, every subtle expression. Madison continued projecting data across the entire branch, network complaints of discrimination, customer satisfaction rates, all detailed and organized. She instructed Patricia to enforce immediate termination for violating staff, demote, Torres implement, recurring training deploy, AI, monitoring, activate the anonymous Speak Up reporting system so every complaint would reach the board directly. Madison stood tall hands, still on the counter, her pace deliberate but forceful, creating an undeniable pressure. Brittany and Devon trembled. Customers watched devices, live streamed on Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, every comment echoing. Outrage, respect, realization. They were witnessing a living lesson in fairness. Madison nodded subtly, feeling the force of justice spreading, noting every changed expression, every corrected action, eyes seeing true authority, calm transforming into overwhelming power. She took another sheet from her leather case, presenting a comprehensive plan all branches would record and analyze every customer interaction, AI detecting biased language, all complaints processed directly, every employee aware that any discriminatory behavior would be detected and punished. Customers recorded live comments, flooding in real time. Madison observed gently, sensing the silent power dominating the space. Brittany bowed her head. Devon trembled. Torres lowered his voice, all realizing they had faced a force that could not be ignored. Madison placed the check back on the counter tape, intact, a symbol of wounds, but also of victory. Everyone present understood that intellect, preparation, and integrity triumph over prejudice. Madison reminded herself, and everyone, justice does not require shouting. It comes from calm and preparation. She stepped back, eyes scanning the entire branch. Customer staff, live cameras, social media, all recording, knowing this story would reach far beyond any bank wall. Every breath, every click, every glance stood as proof of silent authority, justice, and the power of dignity. Madison closed her tablet, looking at Brittany, Devon, and Torres, seeing remorse, awareness, and fear. Within the bank, a storm of change spread, emphasizing that from today, no one had the right to disrespect customers. No one could ignore the power of preparation and intellect. Madison Reed, with calm steps, had transformed an afternoon of humiliation into a symbol of justice, inspiring all who had ever been judged dismissed and were waiting for the opportunity to prove that intellect and dignity are always the strongest weapons. The moment Madison Reed completed sending the activation order for the Dignity Protocol, the entire Liberty National Bank branch froze. Brittany Hayes lowered her head, hands trembling. Devon Parker stepped back a pace. Angela Torres stood paralyzed at the counter, eyes wide with panic, and behind them, customers could not hide their astonishment. Phones raised, recording live streaming comments, flooding in from outrage to admiration. Justice has arrived. Madison is iconic. Silent power is stronger than violence. Everyone held their breath with every movement, every subtle gesture of hers. Madison scanned the room, realizing true power did not lie in shouting, but in preparation, observation, and decisive action. She stepped to the counter, gently gathering the tape-repaired check, placing it carefully, as if laying the cornerstone of justice. Her tablet displayed branch-wide data complaint, statistics, records of discriminatory behavior. Madison pointed to the numbers, her voice low yet sharp. "All violations will be addressed, no exceptions." Brittany drew a deep breath. Devon stepped back further. Customers' eyes, fixed phones, flashing comments, surging hashtag Liberty National Bank, spreading across Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. Madison exhaled lightly, sensing the justice spreading, knowing that preparation, intellect, and integrity were prevailing over prejudice. Every comment, every view became living evidence. Madison looked at Torres' pale eyes, wary, and nodded, subtly affirming that justice was extending. She slowly presented a comprehensive plan. All branches would record every interaction. AI would analyze language for bias. The Speak Up app would allow anonymous reporting. Every complaint would reach the board directly. Violating staff would be terminated or demoted. Madison stood tall hands, flat on the counter, calm but imposing, forcing Brittany, Devon, and Torres to recognize that every action was observed and accountable. Customers continued filming, live streaming, comments pouring in. Madison silently observed, noting every gaze, every fearful smile, every look of respect. Silent authority spread with each passing moment. She placed the check back on the counter tape, intact, a symbol of wounds, but also of victory. Live comments echoed. "This is silent power. Justice has been executed. Preparation defeats prejudice." Social media erupted. Thousands sharing, hundreds commenting. Madison nodded slightly, feeling the pressure of justice fill the branch, understanding that real power comes from calm observation, preparation, and timely action. Brittany bowed her head. Devon trembled. Torres lowered her tone, all realizing they faced an irresistible force. Madison continued outlining the plan, recurring training AI, monitoring anonymous reporting. All branches must comply. She knew this change would spread, becoming a model. Customers recorded live-streamed hashtag Liberty National Bank went viral. Everyone witnessed and learned that intellect and preparation can overcome any prejudice. Madison silently observed Brittany trembling, Devon looking up at her, Torres bowing, all realizing they were facing overwhelming silent authority. Madison gently took the check, placed it on the counter tape, intact, a testament to victory through preparation, intellect, and integrity. Customers continued recording live streaming comments pouring in. Madison exhaled softly, feeling the power spread, knowing change had begun. Everyone around witnessed and understood. They had seen a lesson in justice, calm authority, and the power of preparation. Madison stepped back, eyes sweeping the branch, sensing every glance, every comment, every camera recording. Silent power and justice spread forcefully. She knew this story would inspire all who had been judged dismissed, waiting for the chance to prove that intellect, preparation, and integrity are the strongest weapons. Madison closed her tablet, calm yet commanding presence, filling the branch, all eyes following every action recorded. Brittany, Devon, Torres realized they had witnessed true power. Madison placed the check on the counter one final time, a symbol of victory, justice, and silent authority. Customers and staff observed, recorded live-streamed comments, flowing social media, spreading rapidly. Madison knew that the systemic change journey had only just begun, but the first victory had been won, and every moment of patience, preparation, and integrity would serve as living proof. She stepped back, a faint smile, appearing not for personal triumph, but for justice, respect, and the power of preparation and intellect compelling the entire bank to silence the world watching, and this story destined to spread beyond every wall, every camera, every online comment, becoming a symbol of calm authority, defeating prejudice. Madison Reed had transformed an afternoon of humiliation into a vivid lesson in justice, inspiring and spreading throughout the community. Every gaze, every click, every comment, a testament to silent power and the authority of preparation. The moment the entire Liberty National Bank branch had witnessed Madison Reed remain calm, yet dominate with silent authority, she began executing the dignity protocol with precise, meticulously calculated steps, from recording every interaction with customers to AI systems analyzing language for signs of bias to the Speak Up application, enabling anonymous reporting of every violation. Madison moved slowly across the counter, hand resting on the check as a silent symbol of power eyes, sweeping over every employee, Brittany Hayes, lowering her head, Devon Parker, trembling, Torres frozen in place. Madison quietly observed, sensing each heartbeat, each breath, each gaze. Customers pulled out their phones, live comments surged, hashtag Liberty National Bank, spreading across all platforms. Madison opened her tablet, presenting branch-wide data statistics of discrimination, complaints, customer satisfaction, rates, violation records. Devon and Brittany had nowhere to hide their eyes, locked on the numbers, realizing the gravity of the situation. Madison spoke slowly through the speaker voice, calm but sharp. All violations will be recorded. Staff in breach will be dealt with immediately. Mandatory training will be implemented. All branches must comply with protocol. Each word resonated, filling the space with undeniable weight. Customers, filming, live streaming comments pouring in. Madison felt the wave of social media pressure spreading through every moment, every gaze, every action. She reminded herself and everyone that this was not just a personal action, but a systemic message. Any discriminatory behavior would be detected and punished. She observed every step, every action of the staff, every gesture, every customer reaction. Every eye was fixed, the branch, seemingly holding its breath, each click, each live comment, serving as living proof of prepared authority and integrity. Madison placed the check on the counter, one final time tape intact, a symbol not only of personal victory, but of justice, respect, and standardized procedure. She instructed Patricia Wong, the regional director, step-by-step terminate. Brittany Hayes and Devon Parker immediately demote Torres and enroll her in bias training. All branches must record and analyze customer interactions, AI monitoring, activated complaints, escalated directly to the board. Madison silently observed, noting the fear in the staff's eyes, the respect from customers feeling silent authority radiate throughout the space. Everyone realized that superior preparation and intellect could overwhelm prejudice. Madison continued detailing the full dignity protocol, recurring staff training AI, monitoring anonymous reporting, direct complaint, handling all branches compliant. She maintained a calm but undeniably forceful tone. Brittany lowered her head. Devon trembled. Torres softened her voice, everyone recognizing the silent power controlling the situation. Customers continued filming, live streaming on social media, comments flooding in. Madison placed the check on the counter tape, intact, a testament to victory through intellect and integrity. She observed quietly, every gaze, every comment, every camera, social media spreading rapidly. She knew preparation, intellect, and integrity had triumphed over prejudice, spreading powerfully, impacting not only the bank, but the entire community. Madison stepped back, eyes scanning the branch, sensing every gaze, every comment, every recording, silent authority radiating. She understood This story would inspire all who had ever been judge dismissed and were waiting for the opportunity to prove that intellect, preparation, and integrity are the strongest weapons. Madison closed her tablet, seeing Brittany, Devon, and Torres, witnessing remorse, awareness, and fear creeping in. Customers watched, filming, live-streaming comments, surging hashtag Liberty National Bank, spreading citywide, nationwide. Madison inhaled deeply, feeling the pressure of justice fill the space. She knew that from this day forward, any discriminatory act would be detected, every customer deserving respect. Madison Reed, with measured steps, transformed an afternoon of humiliation into a vivid symbol of fairness, inspiring and spreading throughout the community. Every glance, every click, every comment stood as living proof of silent power, preparation, and justice. Madison Reed had turned every provocation into a systemic lesson, inspiring all who had ever been judged dismissed and were waiting to prove that intellect and integrity are true power. Madison Reed stepped back, eyes still tracking every employee in the Liberty National Bank branch. Brittany Hayes, trembling, Devon Parker, flustered, Torres, frozen at the counter, while customers and witnesses continuously recorded, live-streamed, and comments surged. Madison gently opened her tablet numbers, appearing clearly statistics of all past complaints, violation records. She methodically began rolling out the reform plan, voice calm yet sharp. All branches will record and monitor every customer interaction. AI will analyze language to detect bias. Every complaint will be handled directly by the board. Violating staff will be terminated or demoted. Recurring training will be implemented, each word striking like a decisive hammer. Brittany drew a deep breath. Devon stepped back. Torres lowered her voice, eyes wide with fear. Madison continued, observing the crowd phones, glinting live comments, flooding in silent power. Justice has been served. Madison is iconic. Madison understood that true strength did not come from shouting, but from preparation, intellect, and resolve. Every live comment, every view, every camera angle bore witness to the spread of justice. She retrieved the check, placed it on the counter tape, intact, a symbol of scars but also of victory. Customers felt the weight of accountability, eyes filled with respect, every action recorded. Madison looked at Torres. Calm tone, emphasizing that this was a systemic message. Any discriminatory act would be detected and punished. She opened her tablet, presenting the dignity protocol in full step-by-step branches, required to comply, AI monitoring anonymous reporting, direct complaint handling to the board, violating staff terminated immediately. Madison stood tall, commanding gaze, everyone recognizing that silent authority was in operation. Customers and witnesses recorded live-streamed comments, flooding social media, hashtag Liberty National Bank spreading everywhere. Madison exhaled softly, feeling the power propagate, knowing change had begun. Brittany bowed her head. Devon trembled. Torres lowered her voice, all eyes on her. Madison emphasized that this was not merely individual accountability, but systemic change, establishing a new standard. She pointed at the screen displaying branch-wide statistics, discrimination, complaint rates, customer satisfaction levels. Madison underscored that every violation would be recorded and punished. Customers filmed continuously, live-streamed comments pouring in. Madison sensed the wave of justice pressure spreading through every moment. She placed the check on the counter, one final time tape intact, a symbol of preparation and intellect's triumph. Madison surveyed the entire branch, eyes sweeping from Brittany Devon Torres to the customers, noting fear, respect, and admiration. She continued guiding Patricia Wong, Regional Director, terminate violating staff, immediately demote managers, implement recurring training, activate AI monitoring, and anonymous reporting. Madison remained calm eyes, embedding the silent authority into everyone present. Brittany bowed, Devon trembled. Torres lowered her voice. Customers and witnesses followed every movement, every step, every gaze fixed, each click, each live comment, creating undeniable pressure. Madison knew true power came from preparation, intellect, and integrity. Calmness could overcome any prejudice. She stepped back, observing every glance, every phone recording, every live comment, witnesses realizing they were seeing a living lesson in silent authority and justice. Madison closed her tablet, looking at Brittany Devon, and Torres seeing remorse, awareness, and fear spreading. Customers continued recording, live streaming comments, surging hashtag Liberty National Bank, spreading citywide, nationwide. Madison exhaled softly, feeling the weight of justice fill the branch. She knew that from this day forward, any discriminatory act would be detected, every customer deserving respect. Madison Reed, with measured steps, had transformed an afternoon of humiliation into a vivid symbol of fairness, inspiring and spreading throughout the community. Every gaze, every click, every comment stood as living proof of silent power, preparation, and integrity. Madison Reed had turned every provocation into a systemic lesson, spreading authority, power, and justice across the entire branch network and community of observers. Madison Reed stepped across the bank counter, her gaze sweeping the room, seeing Brittany Hayes and Devon Parker, frozen sweat beading on their foreheads, eyes glazed with fear. Torres standing motionless at the counter, lips trembling. Madison said nothing, moving slowly yet authoritatively, each step carving the presence of silent power. Behind her, customers and witnesses held up their phones, live streaming comments, flooding in silent power. Justice has arrived. Madison is iconic. Madison opened her tablet, displaying full violation records, complaint data, and customer satisfaction rates. She pointed to each figure, her calm yet sharp voice resonating through the bank speakers, each word heavy with consequence. All branches will record every customer interaction. AI will analyze language to detect bias. All complaints will be handled directly by the board. Violating staff will be terminated or demoted. Recurring mandatory training will be implemented. Brittany lowered her head. Devon trembled. Torres softened her voice. Customers watched silently, phones glowing, live views and comments surging. Madison felt the wave of justice spread throughout the branch, every glance, every fearful smile, every look of respect. She knew that power did not require shouting, only preparation and intellect. She continued presenting the full dignity protocol, immediate termination of violating staff, demotion of managers, mandatory bias training, AI monitoring, activated the Speak Up application, enabling anonymous reporting. All branches required to comply. Madison observed every reaction, employees' expressions, change in customers, admiring social media, erupting hashtag Liberty National Bank, spreading widely. She exhaled softly, feeling silent authority, controlling the situation, each moment, each gesture, each glance serving as living proof. Madison placed the check on the counter tape, intact, a symbol of scars, but also of victory, customers recording continuously, live streaming comments flooding. She stepped back, eyes scanning the branch, noting every fearful glance, every expression of respect, every social media comment. Madison understood that this was not merely an individual action, but systemic change, a lesson in silent power, justice, and integrity. She opened her tablet again, displaying full statistical data, discrimination, complaints, staff violation records, customer satisfaction rates. She emphasized that every wrongdoing would be detected and punished. Customers and witnesses continued recording live comments, surging. Madison felt the pressure of justice, like a storm spreading through every moment, every gaze, every action. She reminded Brittany, Devon, and Torres that preparation, intellect, and integrity surpass temporary authority. She pointed to the check, a symbol of victory, as customers and witnesses observed every camera and phone recording, live comments pouring in. Madison moved across the counter, calm yet commanding, everyone realizing they were witnessing a living lesson in fairness. She pulled out her phone, sending a message to Patricia Wong, Regional Director, confirming every step violating staff, terminated immediately. Torres demoted, recurring training, activated AI monitoring across all branches, the Speak Up app enabled for anonymous reporting. Madison observed customers and witnesses, noting that they followed every movement, every gesture, live comments, increasing hashtag Liberty National Bank exploding across social media. She exhaled lightly, sensing silent authority filling the space. Brittany bowed her head. Devon trembled. Torres softened her voice, all eyes on her. Madison placed the check on the counter, one final time tape intact, a symbol of victory through intellect and preparation. She quietly observed every glance, every comment, every live camera social media spreading. She knew that from this day forward, any discriminatory act would be detected. Every customer deserved respect. Madison Reed stepped back, silent authority, transforming an afternoon of humiliation into a vivid symbol of fairness, inspiring all who had ever been judged, dismissed, and waiting for the opportunity to prove that intellect, preparation, and integrity are the truest sources of power. She closed her tablet, looking at Brittany, Devon, and Torres, seeing remorse, awareness, and fear spreading. Customers continued recording live streaming comments, surging hashtag Liberty National Bank, spreading nationwide. Madison felt that systemic change had begun, silent authority, radiating justice restored. Every glance, every click, every live comment served as living proof of the power of preparation and intellect. Madison Reed had transformed every provocation into a systemic lesson, inspiring all who awaited the chance to make a change. Madison Reed stood in the center of Liberty National Bank, her eyes sweeping the room, sensing every subtle movement of employees and customers. Brittany Hayes lowered her head, sweat beading on her forehead. Devon Parker stepped back. Torres stood frozen at the counter. Madison knew this was no longer a personal incident, but a defining moment for the entire system. She moved slowly, her calm yet commanding voice resonating. All branches must comply with the Dignity Protocol record. Every customer interaction, AI will analyze language to detect bias. Anonymous reports will be processed directly by the board. Violating staff will be terminated or demoted. Mandatory training will be implemented. Each word struck with weight, the pressure palpable. Customers and witnesses watched silently, phones raised, live streaming comments, flooding in. Justice has arrived, silent power. Madison is iconic. Madison observed every gaze, every trembling gesture of the staff, recognizing regret and astonishment spreading. Brittany bowed her head. Devon trembled. Torres softened her voice, every action being recorded. Madison opened her tablet, displaying comprehensive branch-wide data, discrimination, complaints, violation records, customer satisfaction rates. She pointed to each number, each detail emphasizing that true power comes from preparation, intellect, and integrity. Customers filmed, live-streamed social media, erupted, #Liberty National Bank spreading widely. Madison exhaled lightly, sensing silent authority, commanding the entire situation, every moment, every gesture, every glance serving as living proof. She placed the check on the counter, one final time tape, intact, a symbol of scars, but also of victory. Customers and witnesses observed, recording, live-streaming comments flooding in. Madison looked at Brittany, Devon, and Torres, seeing remorse, awareness, and fear spreading. She continued presenting the detailed plan. All branches will record. AI monitoring activated the Speak Up application for anonymous reporting. All complaints escalated directly to the board. Violating staff disciplined immediately. Madison remained calm, but authoritative customers and witnesses, recording live-streaming comments, surging #Liberty National Bank, spreading across social media. She understood that silent authority had created public pressure. The entire branch, shaken, every wrongdoing exposed. Madison moved gently, hand still on the counter, gaze sharp but composed. Brittany lowered her head. Devon trembled. Torres softened her voice. Customers in awe, comments pouring in. Madison knew that from this day forward, all employees and witnesses would recognize that preparation, intellect, and integrity are the true sources of power. She opened her tablet again, displaying branch-wide statistics, discrimination, complaints, violation records, customer satisfaction rates. She emphasized that this was a systemic message. Any discriminatory act would be detected and punished. Customers filmed, live-streamed comments, continued surging social media spreading. Madison stepped back, eyes sweeping the branch, every fearful glance, every expression of respect, every live comment observed. She knew that justice was spreading silent power, governing the entire situation. Madison placed the check on the counter, a symbol of victory, as customers and witnesses observed phones recording live-streaming comments, pouring in #Liberty National Bank, spreading across the city. She exhaled lightly, feeling systemic change, beginning silent authority, radiating justice restored. Every glance, every click, every live comment served as living proof of the power of preparation and intellect. Madison Reed had transformed every provocation into a systemic lesson, inspiring all who had been judged dismissed and were waiting for the chance to act. She quietly closed her tablet, observing the entire branch, customers and witnesses, recognizing that the spread of justice had passed beyond the bank's walls, inspiring the community. Every gaze, every click, every live comment served as evidence of prepared authority, calm and integrity. Madison Reed, with measured steps, had transformed an afternoon of humiliation into a vivid symbol of fairness and systemic change, inspiring all who had been judged dismissed and were waiting for the opportunity to stand, turning the entire branch into living proof of justice, prepared authority, and the power of integrity. Madison Reed stood in the center of Liberty National Bank, her eyes calm but commanding, scanning the entire space. She saw Brittany Hayes with her head lowered, Devon Parker trembling, Torres speaking in a subdued voice, while customers and witnesses recorded live-streamed and comments flooded in. Madison knew that every action, every gesture, every word was being documented. She opened her tablet, displaying all data: discrimination, complaints, staff violation records, customer satisfaction rates. She emphasized each number and detail, her voice, calm yet sharp. All branches will record interactions. AI will analyze language to detect bias. Anonymous reports through SpeakUp will be processed directly by the board. Violating staff will be terminated. Mandatory training will be implemented. All branches must comply. Brittany and Devon froze. Torres turned pale. Customers silently filmed live-streamed comments, surging. Madison continued observing every trembling glance, every fearful smile, every respectful gesture, knowing this was not merely personal discipline, but a systemic message. Silent authority was in operation. Madison placed the check on the counter tape, intact, a symbol of scars, but also of victory. Customers and witnesses followed every movement. Live comments skyrocketed, #LibertyNationalBank, spreading across social media. Madison opened her tablet again, presenting the full dignity protocol plan. All branches must record and analyze. Customer interactions. AI detects biased language. Complaints are reported directly to the board. Violating staff are disciplined. Immediately, mandatory training implemented. Madison stood tall, gaze, commanding customers and witnesses, recording live-streaming comments non-stop, social media erupting. She felt silent authority governing the entire branch. Brittany lowered her head. Devon trembled. Torres softened her voice, customers in awe, comments flooding in. Madison knew true power comes from intellect, preparation, and integrity. Calmness overcomes all prejudice. She stepped back, eyes sweeping the branch, sensing every gaze, every comment, every camera recording. Madison knew this story would inspire all who had been judged by appearance, dismissed, and waiting for the chance to prove that intellect, preparation, and integrity are the strongest weapons. She closed her tablet, looking at Brittany, Devon, and Torres, seeing remorse, awareness, and fear spreading. Customers continued filming live-streaming comments, surging #LibertyNationalBank, spreading nationwide. Madison sensed that systemic change was unfolding minute by minute. Every discriminatory act would be detected. Every customer deserved respect. She stepped back, silent authority, transforming an afternoon of humiliation into a vivid symbol of fairness, spreading widely, inspiring the community. Every glance, every click, every comment stood as living proof of the power of preparation and intellect. Madison Reed had turned every provocation into a systemic lesson, creating comprehensive change. Customers and witnesses filmed live-streamed comments, pouring in, social media erupting. Madison stepped across the counter, hand still on the check tape, intact, a symbol of justice and prepared authority. She looked over the entire branch, sensing the spread of justice, every glance, every click, every live comment, serving as living proof of silent power and integrity. Madison knew that from this day forward, authority, fairness, and preparation had become the new standard. An afternoon of humiliation had become a symbol spreading widely. Madison Reed had transformed the entire Liberty National Bank branch into living proof of justice, prepared authority, and the power of integrity, inspiring all who had ever been judged, dismissed, and waiting for the chance to stand. Madison Reed had turned a moment of humiliation into a symbol of systemic change, fairness spreading and silent authority triumphing over prejudice. Madison Reed stood silently in the center of Liberty National Bank, her eyes calm yet commanding, scanning the entire room, sensing every breath, every glance, every trembling gesture of Brittany Hayes and Devon Parker, every trace of worry and regret on Torres's face. Customers and witnesses continued filming live-streaming comments pouring in. Madison knew true power didn't come from shouting, but from preparation, intellect, and integrity. She stepped to the counter, hand resting on the check, as a silent symbol of authority, and opened her tablet, displaying full branch data, discrimination, complaints, staff violation, records, customer satisfaction, rates. She pointed to each number, each detail her calm but sharp voice resonating through the bank. All branches will record every customer interaction. AI will analyze language to detect bias. Anonymous reports via SpeakUp will be processed directly by the board. Violating staff will be terminated or demoted. Mandatory training will be implemented. All branches must comply. Brittany lowered her head. Devon trembled. Torres softened her voice. Customers watched intently, eyes fixed. Madison knew this was not merely personal discipline, but a systemic message silent authority was in operation. Customers and witnesses recorded live-streamed comments flowing non-stop #Liberty National Bank spreading nationwide. Madison exhaled lightly, sensing the wave of justice spreading through the branch. She placed the check on the counter, one final time tape, intact, a symbol of scars, but also of victory. Customers and witnesses followed every movement live, comments surging. Madison opened her tablet again, presenting the comprehensive dignity protocol plan. All branches will record and analyze customer interactions. AI will detect biased language. Complaints will be reported directly to the board. Violating staff will be disciplined. Mandatory training will be implemented. Madison stood tall, gaze commanding customers and witnesses, filming live streaming comments, non-stop social media erupting. She felt silent authority governing the entire branch. Brittany bowed her head. Devon trembled. Torres softened her voice. Customers in awe, comments flooding in. Madison knew that from this day forward, all employees and witnesses would understand that preparation, intellect, and integrity are the true sources of power. She opened her tablet again, displaying full branch statistics. Discrimination, complaints, violation, records, customer satisfaction rates, emphasizing that this was a systemic message. Any wrongdoing would be detected and punished. Customers filmed live-streamed comments, continued surging social media spreading. Madison stepped back, eyes sweeping the branch, noting every fearful glance, every expression of respect, every live comment. She knew that justice was spreading silent power, governing the entire situation. Madison placed the check on the counter, a symbol of victory, as customers and witnesses observed phones recording live-streaming comments, flooding #Liberty National Bank, spreading nationwide. She exhaled lightly, sensing that systemic change had begun, silent authority, radiating justice restored. Every glance, every click, every live comment served as living proof of the power of preparation and intellect. Madison Reed had transformed every provocation into a systemic lesson, inspiring all who had ever been judged dismissed and were waiting for the opportunity to act. She quietly closed her tablet, observing the entire branch, customers and witnesses realizing that the spread of justice had extended beyond the bank's walls, inspiring the community. Every gaze, every click, every live comment served as proof of prepared authority, calm and integrity. Madison Reed, with measured steps, had transformed an afternoon of humiliation into a vivid symbol of fairness and systemic change, inspiring all who had been judged dismissed and were waiting for the chance to stand. Madison Reed had turned the entire Liberty National Bank branch into living proof of justice, prepared authority, and the power of integrity spreading widely, inspiring all who had ever been judged dismissed and were waiting for the chance to rise. Madison Reed concluded her presence in the branch with silent authority justice radiating and the legacy of preparation and intellect recorded vividly in every gaze, every comment, every live camera, every click becoming an indelible symbol of calm power and systemic fairness. From the perspective of an expert in corporate culture, human behavior, and organizational management, Madison Reed's actions at Liberty National Bank were not merely a personal incident or a viral moment on social media, but a vivid demonstration of profound principles of power, preparation, and dignity. In the highly competitive and sometimes ruthless business world, people often confuse power with shouting, with titles, or with money. Yet Madison proved that true power comes from meticulous preparation, keen observation, and the ability to choose the right moment to act. When Brittany Hayes tore Madison's check, an act that seemed to assert power in the moment, it was in reality a display of personal bias, unchecked prejudice, and lack of understanding of the system. Madison, with absolute calm, without shouting or responding with aggression, used intelligence evidence and preparation to transform a high-risk situation into a moment of overwhelming authority, exposing those lacking standards, where silence and patience became far more powerful than yelling or temporary punishment. This is a clear lesson that in corporate environments, preparation, knowledge, and emotional control are decisive factors in transforming an entire system, sending a message that any wrongdoing, especially discriminatory behavior, will be detected and addressed, and that every customer, employee, or colleague deserves respect and fair treatment. What is remarkable is that Madison combined strategy information and situational awareness to turn an ostensibly minor event into proof of fair and responsible management. The dignity protocol she implemented was not merely a series of steps for disciplining staff or recurring training, but a comprehensive system combining technology, monitoring, and direct feedback from customers, creating mechanisms to ensure violations could not recur. Statistical data violation, records, complaint rates, and continuous monitoring transformed every individual action into data, every decision into evidence, every customer interaction into an opportunity to reinforce a culture of fairness. This proves that a single prepared individual can create comprehensive change in a system that may seem impervious, and that fairness, when applied systematically, not only protects individual rights, but enhances the overall value and reputation of the organization. From a psychological perspective on power, Madison operated skillfully across all levels of her environment: employee perception, customer attitude, social media pressure, and online ripple effects. She understood that power does not always come from title or reputation, but from the ability to coordinate information, control the pace and behavior of the environment, and guide people to recognize their mistakes without violence or yelling. This practice of calm authority instantly exposed the staff lacking standards, creating a strong educational effect, not only for them, but for the entire system. This is the power of prepared silence, where each action has purpose, each observation is recorded and transformed into systemic change, and dignity is affirmed through action rather than words. Furthermore, the ripple effect of Madison's story extended beyond the bank. Customers' witnesses and social media became extensions of the monitoring system, where every camera, every click, and every live comment served as proof of justice and prepared authority. As the hashtag Liberty National Bank spread across platforms, the story became a symbol of how one individual can shift perception, establish new standards, and elevate behavioral norms across an entire industry. It is a lesson in careful observation, recording every detail and responding strategically, a lesson not only for leaders, but for anyone seeking to build a fairer workplace and society. From a professional standpoint, Madison Reed created a model for risk management, crisis handling, and ethical leadership. Her actions demonstrate that fairness is not an abstract concept, but the result of meticulous preparation, transparent processes, continuous monitoring, and individual determination. When staff violating standards are disciplined immediately, the dignity protocol is applied, and social media documents the entire sequence, the system learns a lesson in fairness, and organizational culture shifts toward sustainability. Madison proved that a well-prepared individual can turn temporary pressure into long-lasting change, and that silent authority, intellect, and integrity are always more powerful than violence, temporary authority, or conventional pressure. This story also vividly demonstrates the importance of documenting every violation, as tangible evidence transforms a situation that might have been forgotten into the basis for systemic change. By combining data technology, monitoring, and her direct presence, Madison created an indisputable environment in which every misconduct is recognized and addressed, and where everyone understands that dignity and fairness are unbreakable standards. It is a lesson in employing calm, yet strategic authority to generate comprehensive change, and in turning seemingly ordinary moments into symbols of justice and ethical standards within an organization. With all this, Madison Reed not only transformed operations at Liberty National Bank, but also inspired all those following her story that meticulous preparation, intellect, calmness, and integrity can overcome prejudice, misconduct, and create systemic change. This is a powerful reminder that each individual can make an impact, that justice is not merely an abstract concept, but the result of strategic action, and that true power does not come from title or shouting, but from preparation, intelligence, and the ability to uphold dignity. If Madison Reed's story resonates with you, like the video to spread the message that calm authority and fairness always triumph over prejudice. Subscribe to follow more inspiring stories of meaningful action and systemic change, and comment. Stand up to remind yourself and others that sometimes a single moment of steadfastness, a courageous action, can transform an entire system, spreading justice, inspiring others, and creating a lasting legacy for those who pursue ethical standards. Integrity and fairness in any environment, from business, banking, and hospitality to the broader community, because every carefully prepared action, every keen observation, and every composed decision can become living proof of the power of silent authority, justice, and sustainable change.